Hi, everyone. Welcome to It's Messy, but It's So Good, the podcast where I explore journeys of individuals following their passions amidst life challenges. And each episode features very unique stories of very remarkable people who embraced chaos, navigated obstacles, and transformed their lives in their pursuit of purpose and passion. And today, my guest is Don Kilcoyne. And Don is such a fun person to get to know. He has his hands in so many different things. And he's a very versatile performer. He earned his first acting paycheck in 1991 as a pirate at a local Renaissance festival. And his career spans off-Broadway, TV, film, regional festivals, folk band performances, and improv teaching. And he got immersed in the pirate theme. He created environments for the New York and Maine Renaissance fairs, and he sang and played percussion for the band The Crimson Pirates for 20 years and published 3 supernatural thrillers. In addition to that, he's crafting entertainment for local businesses, coaching improv, and working as a marketing creative director. So enjoy the show. Good morning, Don.
Good morning.
And welcome to It's Messy, but It's So Good.
I love the title because, wow, that sums it all up, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
It's nice to see you again.
Yeah, it's great. I met Don at the Pirate Festival in Greenwood Lake, and I was just smitten by his passion. And this podcast is all about passion. And he was surprised. He's a pirate. He does pirate festivals, but he also is a creative novelist. He creates shows. He teaches improv. He also is a creative director, and he's moving that out into mentoring others in that field and taking his unique passion and creativity and just spreading it out there. So what I'd love to know, Don, is just a little bit about how you got involved in your unique creativity, like what inspired you, when you were younger, perhaps, or maybe not, how that journey came about.
You bet. It's a bit of a long story because I'm not very young. But I'll try to keep it clippy. So when I was in high school and college, I did a lot of theater, and it was an awful lot of fun. But it was basically just a way to be creative. When I was in college, I had one professor who told me the most amazing thing that stuck with me all my life. And it sounds really rude. He was a journalism instructor. And he said to us one day, if you have nothing new to say or can't think of a new way to say it, shut up.
Mm.
So, whoa. And we all got knocked back. But what I've thought about over the years was that wasn't him telling us to shut up. That was this wonderfully rude old man telling us, find a new way to say it. Find a new way to engage people. And to me, that has been my hardcore, creative foundation all my life. Find a new way to do it. Find a new way to reach people. And I love him for that. His name is Arthur Reel, and he was, what a great professor. But if you remember one thing, find a new way to say it. Find something new to say. So I enjoyed him in college, but after college, I kind of drifted away from theater. I started doing this other path where I thought I needed to be a business person. And I just got into public relations, I hated it. But I wore really nice suits and got paid a lot of money. and I fell in love with a lovely young woman who had a child from a previous marriage. And we were like Insta family, we were ready to get married and start this, fast track this journey together. And then we were smart enough to actually get some couples counseling before we got married. And the couples counselor sat with us a couple times and went, "Are you crazy? You two don't belong. You two don't belong together at all." And we looked at each other and went, "She's right. She's totally right.
Wow.
I'm on the wrong path. You're on the wrong path. We need to release each other to go on our proper paths." And so I grew my hair out, and I know you're looking at this handsome old bald man, but I used to have long black hair, like way past my armpits. And auditioned for a Renaissance festival. It was my first paid acting gig. I'd been doing theater all, for years, but there was suddenly they were going to pay me to perform and entertain people. I was like, let's give it a shot. I got the job. I was playing a pirate named Nasty Nick Bellows.
Did you create that name? You created
I did not. They gave me the character, but I created everything else because it's an improv character. And he was really fun. What I did was I created a stump for my arm, pirate hook, but the stump never had a hook in it. It had something different in it every single day. Like one day I would hang an anchor from it and just moor myself to stuff and just kind of drift back and forth with myself anchored. Then I would have a turkey leg or drumsticks or whatever, chopsticks one day, and I was taking pictures with it. So it was just silly creativity. And here's where it gets a little sad. My father, when I was doing that first season at the show, I was in my late 20s. Post engagements, I was kind of lost in a drift. My father got cancer. And so he was fading fast for all those months that I was doing this work. The beauty of the work, though, was that I was able to spend the weekdays with my dad and my mom. And then the weekends, I used that creativity to recharge my batteries.
Yeah.
Because Nasty Nick Bellows his dad was just fine.
Yes.
It was Don's dad who was hurting so badly. So I had the energy for those 5 days because I recharged on the weekends and I was able to be there for them. So closing weekend of that show that year, this is so many years ago, my father passed on the Wednesday right before the show closed. And I stayed Saturday night after the funeral with my mom at the house. And first thing Sunday morning, my mom is shaking me awake. First thing Sunday, the sun's coming up. She's shaking me. I was like, "What are you doing?" She goes, "You have to go to work." I said, "Mom, we buried Dad yesterday. I'm not going to do a Renaissance fair." And she looked me in the eye and she said, "This is the first day he'll be able to see you do it." I'm like, so obviously I leapt up and, when you and I just chatted, we talked about a mantra and a meditation. I have a meditation that I do every single performance since that day. It's been 30 something years. And I do this meditation on every performance or every important thing I'm embarking on. And it's very simple. It's give me this day that I may give it back to you through the people you send.
Wow.
And it's a creative focus that reminds me why we do what we do.
Yeah.
So
I love that. It's beautiful.
That's sort of the beginning of the journey. And then it just was saying yes to stuff over the years. As cool opportunities came up, you do it and you say yes, you be afraid and you do it anyway. So a lot of stuff's gone on between now and then, but that's how I got started back on the path I think I should have been on all along. So that was my crossroads right there, was getting back into being creative. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Cause it's amazing how when we step back, right. And we look at the synchronistic, invitations that we get and how one thing feeds to the other. Cause I remember too, my dad was in, hospice and I was working full time as a nurse and I just knew that I had to take some time off. And I was able to, through FMLA, being in that full-time position, and take one day and travel down to my dad in New Jersey and for 6 months. And my coworkers were graciously covering me for that. And they were already stressed. So that was like amazing. But how all those things that we do when we have that beautiful intention of connecting, with our loved one or supporting, it's just, things just work out as long as, we go with it, and
Mhm.
trust that everything will work out. And it gives you so much more insight as you go forward on your path, you know? So,
Agreed.
yeah. So as far as the pirate goes,
Well,
because I mean, our audience cannot see your face. They will they'll see your picture.
help use the pirate picture.
It is the pirate picture.
Awesome.
You did give me several, but I'm sorry I have to use the pirate picture.
Well, no worries. No
Yeah,
worries.
you are the most perfect looking pirate I've ever
Well, thank you. Thank
And
you.
how did that develop more? Can you say more? Was it just opportunities that came along? Or was it like something about the pirate? Yes, you had that character, and yes, I understand what you're saying. It gave you that ability to transform into another character that kind of fed your creative juices. But how did you like work with that character?
So, I've played a number of pirate characters over the years. One of the things that I love about doing a pirate character, there's a few things, is if you are kind of an all-purpose performer, I do stand-up comedy, I do improv, I sing, I'm a percussionist, I used to dance, I'm a stage combatant, I got my certifications, I can swing pretty much anything deadly and not kill you.
Wow.
So all of those skills are perfect for playing a pirate because pirates are a community. Throughout history, they really just created their own shipboard communities, their island communities, where they had everything that you would find in a village or a city. They did poetry, they fought, they sang, they danced. They were full of joy, they were full of rage. And if you're a performer looking to use all of your skills,
Mm,
you're not going to go wrong taking on a pirate character. I mean, if you want to juggle, you can juggle. And that's really what I'm about in my creativity is finding ways to use all of my skills as much as possible. So, and there's stuff that I was able to accomplish building pirate communities and Ren fairs that are all about giving back to the community. And we could talk about that in a little bit, but there's another thing about pirates right now that I really love is that pirates have become a metaphor for whatever you need them to be. So I don't know if you're familiar with the Our Flag Means Death
no,
show. I don't want to promote, they're doing very well.
promote.
Okay. It's on Max. It's a brilliant show. And it's a Taika Waititi thing, Reese Darby, really wonderful show. And what they've done is they've presented pirates as a metaphor for misfits.
Mm-hmm.
People who are just not able to find their family, not able to find their community. And in this show, it's funny. It's an LGBTQ aware show without clown hammering it.
Yeah.
They're like, these are people who just love who they love the way they love them. And we're not going to comment on it. We're just going to embrace it. And they're pirates and they're badasses. And they also just love each other unquestionably. There's no social overlay of that's wrong, that's unacceptable. It's no, I love you and that's who I love, and we're just going to love each other. We're not going to comment on it. And I think it's a community and a metaphor that we really need today. So I'm absolutely so happy that my chosen genre
Yeah.
happens to be leading the way in so many other things. And also pirates are badasses. You know, they could do all these cool things. They could sing, they could dance, but they will also cut you. You know, so,
Yeah.
and so it's just, it embraces everything. It feeds all the channels of energy and creativity. I'm not sure if I answered your question.
Yeah,
Robert.
definitely. Because I think pirates in general, I'll have to check out that show. It's always like the negative connotation of what a pirate
Right.
is. You know, they're going to kill you. They're going to steal from you, you know, all of this. And I love what you brought out, the community and the aliveness of their spirit and
Right.
mostly community, because we know that there's a lot of scientific research and social research that connection is pretty much the most important thing for people to have to increase their lifespan
Yeah.
and their happiness. It's all about community. It's all about connection. And yeah, it's vital to us as human beings, as we know, you know, to just feel that we belong. So I love that because I've never really known that much about the pirate community. And I love how you're bringing that out. And it's just, you know, it's just your creative expression along with the other things. Does it kind of sink into some of the other things that you do somehow?
It absolutely does. Well, one of the things I was really privileged to do was sing and be the percussionist for a lovely folk band called the Crimson Pirates. They still exist. They're wonderful, still my best friends. My bride and I had to retreat from it just because the commitments were getting crazy. We just couldn't do it. And they wanted to go national. It's like, love you guys. Be well. We'll still hold on to the CDs, you know. We've recorded like 7 CDs. We toured, you know, Texas, California, Wisconsin, all over the place. Um, and so that became a pirate themed thing again. Like, well, actually, it's because the band grew out of, and I love this, it grew out of a combat show that we were doing. We were doing a stunt show, and we realized that doing an hour-long stunt show is exhausting. So we started interspersing music in the stunt show, basically to take a break
Yeah.
and stop swinging swords for a couple of minutes. And we realized, wow, we sound pretty good together. And so it went from a stunt show called Buccaneers Brawl into the Crimson Pirates, and it evolved where we basically dropped the fighting out of the show, and it just became a concert, a
Oh,
pirate concert. So we did that for like 20 years, and that was a blast. We traveled all over. My wife and I went on a sunset cruise one night down in the Florida Keys, and we were not on a business thing, not playing with the band. We were just there ourselves, romantic cruise. The captain of the ship started talking about shanties and started talking about the Crimson Pirates. And my wife and I were like, well, wait a minute. We're, you know, hundreds of miles from home. How do you know the Crimson Pirates? He's like, the shanty world is very small. We all know the Crimson Pirates. Yes. So that was fun. I think we got a free drink.
yeah, I was going to say at least a free drink.
Yeah. Um, so it is a wonderful community. And so connecting it to other things, I think that pirate energy, the idea of just going for it. Can I tell you another quick thing about pirates that you probably don't know because a lot of people don't? In context, pirates were the good guys.
Mm.
And that's controversial. Yes, they stole from people. Yes, they sunk ships. But they had a code of conduct that was much stricter than most of the navies that were chasing them.
I believe
And
that.
the navies, the British Navy, the Spanish Navy, the French, they were brutal, brutal. They were trading in slaves. They were burning villages. Francis Drake, one of the most famous pirates, I think turned privateer, thanks to Queen Elizabeth, he became a pirate because he watched the Spanish Navy, which he eventually destroyed. He watched them torture indigenous people for fun in what became the United States. He saw how brutal they were, and basically he went, "Oh, these SOBs are going down." And he committed to destroying the Spanish Navy because of the cruelty that they were exhibiting. And so, in a lot of ways, the pirates were rebels with a cause. They wanted to create communities. They wanted to destroy, and sometimes they were in it just for themselves. Absolutely, in it just for themselves. But in context, the law in those days was much worse than they were. So that's how really, I can't play a bad guy for long. I won't. Just, it's not good for your soul to do that. And I think that these guys are not all bad guys in context of when they live. So anyway, that's my little tangent.
Yes. Thanks for that. Because I mean, I'm learning so much about pirates, and that's fascinating.
They had a code of conduct. They were the first democracies, really active, socialist. They shared everything. They elected their captains. Whereas, the most navies would inflict a captain or an admiral on you, and they could be as brutal as they wanted to be. On a pirate ship, if you mistreated your crew would get rid of you. And not by throwing you overboard, just say, hey, no, it's not what we want. You're done. We're putting this guy in. So, it was a pretty good community.
I'm just curious too, about the women around pirates. With the low cut boobies sticking out all the time.
Well, we have an aesthetic.
But is there any history? I mean, maybe not, maybe you don't know about it, but what is that about?
So, there's some of the famous, there was some amazingly famous female pirates. I mean, you've got Anne Bonny and Mary Read. They were partnered with a famous pirate named Calico Jack. They were contemporaries of Blackbeard, and they were amazing. They wound up being lovers themselves with their third, Calico, but it was very clear that Calico Jack was the lesser of the three in terms of brains, brawn, strategic ability. So they were, and I believe, it was either Anne Bonny or Mary Read. I think it was Anne Bonny. They were going to hang her, but she was pregnant with, I think, Calico's child, so they actually spared her life. But they were legends, those two. And then there's, of course, there's Grace O'Malley, the famous Irish pirate queen, who was such a force in the waters around England that Queen Elizabeth met with her, basically to kind of like parlay and say, how do we work a deal here that you stop attacking English ships and start attacking Spanish ships? Basically treated Grace O'Malley with the same respect she treated Francis Drake. So, can I tell you another quick pirate queen thing that I was so proud of?
I just never really knew any of this. It's amazing.
Pirate queens are famous. There's an amazing one. I'm going to pull a blank on her name, and I know I'll mispronounce it, so I won't say it. But there was a Chinese pirate queen who ruled the South Seas, ruled them. She was probably the most powerful pirate on Earth in history.
Wow.
But because we're a Western culture, we don't know, we don't acknowledge that the way we do a Blackbeard who actually sailed the coast of New Jersey. But she took over China from the sea. She was so powerful. And I should look up the name, but I know I'll mispronounce it again. I don't want to disrespect it. So when I worked for the New York Renaissance Fair, we were having a great, wonderful time. People were getting opportunities to do what they wanted to do. But one thing I noticed was we had so many talented female combatants, because people in this area, we train in New York City. There's some phenomenal combat classes.
Right.
So we had these women who were so well trained and so gifted, but there were no roles for them because they were either court ladies in giant dresses and then all swinging broadswords, or there was like the Robin Hood band, which is mostly men. The guards are all men. So I created a group of pirates that I called a Pirates Cove, and it was all pirate queens.
Wow.
It was the famous pirate queens of history. And then what I did was I dedicated that to giving the women an opportunity, a locked in, created roles, scripted roles, where they could fight. And that meant they were on our chessboard. They had scenes with combat in them. There was only stunt shows. And it's because they weren't getting opportunities and we were losing really talented people.
Right.
So I locked that in for a couple of years. And then it grew, but I kept those 4 characters locked in female roles, always 4 major fighting roles for women. I was super happy with that.
That's great.
They eventually opened other stuff up, which was great, but we kind of had to prove it, which was sad that we had to prove it.
Yeah.
But it was long enough ago that in context, people's attitudes have changed, which is great. So,
So when's the last time you actually worked at the New York Renaissance Fair?
I haven't been there for a couple of years. I'm actually doing the Maine Renaissance Fair now, because that's so convenient from the Hudson Valley. But the Maine Fair is wonderful. It's new. It's actually growing so fast. They've bought their own land now. They've got like 75 acres. And it was started by a craftsperson who gets really the business side of it and is giving me a lot of freedom and trust to build the entertainment side of it.
That's
So
fantastic.
yeah, I learned a lot in New York. But it was time to part ways for lots of reasons. And I immediately got picked up by Maine. They're basically like, "You're available? You want to spend your summers in beautiful Maine?" Yes, I do. So it was
And
great.
where in Maine is that?
It's going to be moving a couple of towns away with the new site. And part of me, I'm about to cough.
That's it.
So it's the New Hampshire, Maine border, southwest corner, beautiful lake region, really sweet folks. And we get to tap into the full, like Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire talent pool. So we've got phenomenal people. And the show is pulling in national acts that rival anything on the circuit. So it's like, this is great. We've been
That's
around for like 3
fantastic.
years and it's really exciting.
So
So-
when does it actually come alive? Like I know up here, the Renaissance Festival just is for a short period of time.
Mhm.
Late August, I think, till the beginning of October.
Right. I think they're running 8 weeks now or something. Maine is shorter. There were 2 weeks, but because I'm all the way down here and my cast is all the way up there, come January, what I'll start to do is Zoom workshops. Very
cool.
similar to this. And what we'll do is, I'll run once a week. I'll run improv workshops online. We'll read scripts. We're launching some combat stuff up there this year for the first time. So we'll be assigning people and working remotely on ideas. And then I actually land there early July and we'll spend all of July back and forth working with them very intensely on weekends. And then we open for 2 weeks, end of July.
Oh,
So, but once the new site is open and they can really make their own schedule, because right now they're renting a really very cool state fair space, but it's renting it. So there's issues with timing. Once we're on the new site, she can stay open for as long as the audience is willing to show up. And right now they're way over capacity. Like her expectations for numbers got blown out of the water when people started showing up. Plus, you had to buy the new space. So I'm really excited for them. It's a really good show with a great heart. So
that's fantastic, and it gives you and your wife an ability to just, be up in Maine for a while. So that's
right. It's so pretty up there, and the drive's not bad. The way I think of it is like I drive to Albany and hang a right, both of them.
So what I'd love to do is switch gears a little bit and
Sure.
just talk now about the messiness.
You got it.
As you're creating things, even this, whole new endeavor in Maine at the new Renaissance Festival, you run into challenges, right? And it could be in any other area that you want to talk about, but how do you usually work with that in your life? Is it a certain perspective or perhaps practices, tools? How do you deal with the messiness? Because we know that through messiness, we learn a lot and we even get more creative.
Mhm.
But for you, how does that live?
I'm going to be perfectly honest and say for many years, I did not deal with the messiness well.
Hmm.
Uh, I I spent many years very thin skinned. Um, I didn't take feedback well. Um, and I think, well, I have put a lot of intention into listening to feedback. Um, I actually credit my bride and joy, Kelly, for that. She's very patient with me, um, and doesn't point out my problems. She just gently suggests alternative ways of dealing with things. And, she's wonderful about that. So she's been great about that. Our communication in the house has become so strong over the years, that I'm using those skills that Kelly's helping me develop in my work life. I'd also like to give a weird little shout out to a wonderful man, um, who was my boss for a couple of years. His name is Carlos Casedo. Uh, and he was a creative director at Ogilvy and all that. He came out of retirement, to lead a team. He hired me at my current job. And the man can give feedback like nobody's business. Um, and he really helped me learn to listen, um, and to apply the skills that I was teaching other people. I was teaching improv. I was teaching yes and. I was teaching embracing reality and building on it, and I was not applying it to my own life.
Mm.
And so when you ask how do I deal with messiness, it sounds so cheesy, but I wind up going back to improv training, because improv training is not just performative, it's reflective. What am I hearing? What am I really hearing? And how can I embrace that? And instead of giving my own take on it, building on it, accept it all, embrace the reality. Okay. And now I'm going to build something better on top of what I just learned.
Yeah.
And so that's part of what I teach when I teach improv is it's not a performance skill. It's a listening skill and it's a creative collaboration skill. And when it's used really for the best, it's a self-improvement skill. So that's kind of how I deal with the messiness, but I have to acknowledge because it's part of the program. I was not good at it for a long time. I was terrible at it. So, and I'm
Well,
happy
I
now.
think that's common.
Yeah. Yeah.
I, you know, and I've said this with a couple of guests, I think as we are aging, we get wiser.
You hope, right?
Yes, we hope. Well, we live longer, we have more experiences, we get more insight. And if we're open, that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
If we're open,
Right.
um, and it's always like when we're triggered, right? It's really something within us, not the other person.
Right.
They pressed a button in us. And, it is challenging to look at it from a bigger perspective and reflect. But that is the beautiful pearl that we get there,
Right.
in expanding, and in growing.
Hmm.
So thanks for sharing that.
Sure.
As far as what you're up to now, and what would you like to share with the audience in terms of anything coming up in your
Okay. Well, I'm always very happy to promote the Maine Renaissance Fair. It takes up It doesn't take up all my time, but it will embrace a lot of my concentration over the course of the year. Again, because I'll start in January and we close end of July. So it's a wonderful show, and I hope it gets support. We have my wife and I do a fun, silly little thing that is there's no income involved, but it's a fun project. We do a thing called Brewvent, which is over the course of the 24 days of Advent. We review beers and wines live, like on we well, live. We're we review them, we post them on YouTube, we share them out. We've got a following over the years. It's very silly, but it's a wonderful bonding thing for Kelly and I. And it's creative. We record it, I edit it, I do some little tricks with my editing stuff. It keeps my hands in on how to use the tools. And so that's really fun. And that's simply on YouTube as Brewvent. It's easy. And other stuff going on. Where you and I met is that a wonderful beer garden down in Greenwood Lake. Those folks are wonderful. They're just great. And I'd love to do more with them. They're an example of saying yes. Really, Warren just came up to me one day and was like, "Hey, I hear you do this. Do you want to do it for me?" Sure. Great. So we did the pirate thing twice. We just did a murder mystery there.
Oh, really?
And so I love when a place in the community is opening themselves up for creative expression. And they're a beer garden. They've got a business going there, but they're putting on shows. They're inviting people to take chances. So I'd love to support the Trail End Tap House just because they rock.
Right. Absolutely.
Otherwise, project-wise, most of my time is focused on my real job. And I love it. It's very creative. And I'm not going to drop the name of the company. Just they're a couple $1 billion. They're doing just fine. But I get to do really good creative work with a phenomenal creative team. I've got a really good team working for me now. So that's very fulfilling and keeps the batteries charged. Probably the first time in my life that my full-time corporate job charged me up as well as my other path. So I feel very fortunate.
Yeah. That is rare and a blessing when it happens.
Oh yeah. Especially at my age, I could be tired and I'm not. So
yes, you're not there. But I'm going to put some of your contact information in the show notes, plus the Renaissance Festival in Maine. And,
thank you.
And your YouTube channel.
Thank you.
So we'll put that in there. And you can be found on Facebook at Kilcoyne Creative, on Twitter at Don Kilcoyne, and we'll put that also.
You know what? Let's pull the Twitter one. I'm tired of supporting that dude.
Okay, yeah.
I am on Threads though, and so I'll tag you back with my Threads.
Perfect. And I'll put that in the show notes. So to end this wonderful, entertaining,
you're delightful.
Interview, can you tell me what you feel? And it's hard to pick one, but what is the greatest gift that you have received from your passions?
That's easy, actually. I met my bride and joy, working in the New York Renaissance Fair. I told you the story about the young woman that I was engaged to and blah, blah, blah. Thank God that happened, because Kelly is just, she's my life. She was a jouster at the fair. But so my bride has that kinesthetic memory where if she does something once, her muscles will always remember what she did. Very gifted. So our first date, I put a sword in her hand and showed her a couple of moves. Like 6 months later, she picked up the sword and knew those moves exactly. Like months later, she then became a much better fighter than me. Much better. And they put her on a horse and put a stick in her hand and armor. And she started knocking guys off horses with a stick for 6 years. She's a singer. She's a dancer. She's a fighter. She's a kickboxing instructor. And now she's on the path of the witch, with a local, the Lighthouse Curiosity. She is, my partner, my best friend. And I feel like I stole her from the fair. It's like, oh, no. If I'm going to keep one precious thing, it's going to be my relationship with Kelly. So I gushed, but thank you for asking.
Oh, I love that. So it sounds to me like what I'm hearing is total inspiration from her.
Absolutely. Inspiration and the energy bridge when inspiration is failing elsewhere. She's there for me, sometimes quietly, sometimes energetically. And I hope I am for her as well.
Sure you
But
want.
yeah, the creative collaboration between us is really strong. So,
That's beautiful. Well, anything else that you wanted to add before we say goodbye for now?
no, I mean, I think I've spoken so much right now. I want to thank you. I've been listening to your podcast and you are a delight. And I appreciate you opening conversations up and letting people share. It's very generous of you and a lot of fun.
Well, thank you
So,
so much, Don. I appreciate it. And I will see you probably around town.
all right. And next time
And
we do a gig, I'll make sure we tag you.
yeah, and thank you so much for being here. I think it was so interesting, like your life story, and I appreciate you sharing it with us.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Have a great holiday.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening to another episode of It's Messy, but It's So Good. And I want to thank my guest today, Don Kilcoyne. It was such a fun time getting to know you and exploring all the creative endeavors that you're involved with. So thanks so much for being a guest, Don. Some of the things that I wanted to highlight that we went over during the interview was the birth of the pirate Nasty Nick Bellows. And here Don was able to showcase his whimsical style, and it helped him a lot with some personal struggles and a loss of direction at that time in his life. Also, the pirate Nasty Nick Bellows helped him with a creative recharge during his father's battle with cancer. Also, Don explored some of the challenges and messiness in his life and what he struggled with, and he really credits his wife and his former boss, Carlos Casada, for helping him with feedback that really helped to improve his listening and reflection skills. Also, he was able to expand into more self-improvement opportunities and also personal growth, and he broadened his perspective on many, many things in life. I so enjoyed learning about pirates as good guys. Don reframes pirates as often being the good guys in history, and as we know, the media always portrays them as negative characters, thieves and crooks. But as Don shares, they often were fighting against oppression and stood up for democratic and socialist principles. I also enjoyed hearing about legendary female pirates who I had no idea about, named Anne Bonny and Mary Read. So the best way to get in touch with Don and to learn about his current projects and upcoming events is to check out the show notes. Some things that are going on are the Maine Renaissance Fair, and that will be this summer. And also you can check out his YouTube station that he has with his wife called Brew Vint, where he reviews beers, and he collaborates with the Trailing Tap House in Greenwood Lake and the Maine Renaissance Fair. So thank you again, Don, for being a guest, and I appreciate everyone listening in. I just wanted to remind everyone, if you have not subscribed to my email list, please go ahead and download the free gift, which is the journal prompts. And this will give you an opportunity to explore if you're feeling kind of low and not too passionate about what you're doing, perhaps in your career, and you really want to take some time to get clear on what's next for you. This is a wonderful opportunity to just sit down, take some time for yourself, and just do some writing and some journaling. So thank you again to everyone that listens and to Don, and we'll see you next time.